Hello and welcome to episode number 93 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
I'm Jim. Today we're going over short term versus long term.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. We're talking about a very interesting topic this week. Like Jim said, short term versus long term. And before we get into it, we've got a few things that we want to go over. The first being our sponsor. Our sponsor, Amazon Audible. If you head over to our affiliate link, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness, you can sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible service. That's right. Audible is Amazon's audiobook service. So when you sign up, when you follow that link, sign up, you get a free credit added to your account. Okay, so follow that link, sign up, you get that free credit. Once you redeem that credit, that book will stay on your account forever. That's right. You don't lose that book, even if you cancel the service. If you say you do not want to listen to Audible anymore, well, you still get to keep that book on your account. And what's even better is if you are an Amazon Prime member, you get additional credits. So you get 2 free credits added to your account when you sign up over at www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Follow that link, sign up for your free 30-day trial today, get that free book added to your account. All right, now I need to talk about this before I forget. Okay, last week, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the podcast, we said stay tuned until the end because we have a special announcement about something coming up.
We meant stay tuned until next week.
Yeah, we meant stay tuned until next week because now we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, we did this a couple of years ago, but a community game day. So June 10th, that is a Saturday. Time frame is going to be around noon. So it's going to be between 12 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. If you are in the southwest suburbs of Chicago in New Lenox, Illinois, you can come on out to the Lincoln Way Special Recreation Association building. And we're just going to be hanging out, playing games with the community. And it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to fill up my car with games, okay? Or there's going to be people playing a lot of Magic. There's going to be people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! There's going to be people playing a lot of different card games. I know there's going to be people playing DC deck building game.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a few people in our community who would love that game. So when they see those new boxes from Injustice and the Multiverse sets, they're gonna be like, oh yeah. So mark it on your calendar if you are in the area. I don't want to say it's only for locals. Anyone can come out, but I highly doubt there's going to be people traveling. Feel free to travel if you want, but it's really
the farthest person who travels to this event will make you an honorary member
of something. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
We'll even make it up.
Yeah. So again, June 10th. We're going to announce this on all of our social channels, but we want to be sure we're talking about it here. So for our podcast audience, you can all know about it. June 10th, about 12 to 5 in the afternoon, here in New Lenox. Come on, hang out with us and our community. It's going to be a great time. Okay. All right. Got that out of the way.
Yes.
Made sure to talk about that. Did not forget this time. Didn't forget. Okay.
That was our second sponsor, Hobbies and Happiness.
Yeah,
Thanks,
ourselves.
guys. You're the best.
All right. So today's topic is it's an interesting one. It's kind of a continuation of what we talked about last week. So what we're talking about today, like Jim said, short term versus long term. So I kind of got the idea from Linus Sebastion. For those of you who don't know, if you've been on YouTube for any length of time and you're in the tech sector, you probably know Linus Tech Tips. Okay. So I came across a video today. I think it was posted a few days ago, but Linus is leaving. He's not leaving.
He's retiring.
He's stepping down from the CEO position. Okay. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. We'll be sure to link it down in the description. But it was a really, really great video. Now, Jim, like, what was your take on that video? I mean, after watching it, like, what was your main takeaway?
Oh, I completely understand where the guy's coming from.
Sure.
You know, it's like where the company was for him and everything that he was doing, you know, it branched out, or it grew into something huge, something that he didn't know that he was, you know, cut out to do.
Right.
And in the video, he talks about how he's just like, I'm just so tired. And it's he's doing so much more work that he, I guess, doesn't want to do, I guess you say.
Right.
You know, it's just him realizing what it is that he wants to do inside the company. And since they're so big and massive, you know, they're able to now go ahead and find that more niche role for him.
Right.
So it's I think it's a great move for him. It's definitely going to make him happier, I'm sure.
Right. Right.
And he was saying like a few weeks ago, that he did a live stream talking about that he was thinking about retiring.
That was years ago.
That was years ago?
That was years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
He's been putting up with it that long?
Yeah,
then?
it's
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was a live stream from years and years ago. And so that thumbnail, I mean, I remember watching that video. Immediately when I saw it, I clicked on it because it basically said, I'm thinking of retiring.
Yeah.
That was the thumbnail to that video. Yeah. And it's not like he was just so unhappy, but like, I mean, this company like is his baby, right? And he, you know, he has a child, right? And like Linus is the type of person who you can tell loves Yvonne, loves his wife, loves his kid. But like that company has just grown exponentially and massively. Linus does some amazing work, right? And he's been around for a long time. So for him, like just finally stepping down from the CEO role, I mean, he's not going anywhere. Like he's doing the stuff that he's good at and he loves doing. Like I get it. Like being a manager, not everybody's cut out to be a manager. And it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Like being the guy in charge and being the one making all decisions is, like, honestly, dude, there's times where I'm just like, I don't want to be doing some of this stuff. I want to be doing this stuff over here, but if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done. Right? So running a company and making those decisions, like, I get it. I cannot imagine on the scale that they're at. So it's a good move for him, and you know, hopefully it works out for him personally and the company. Hopefully they continue to grow and just continue to see huge success, which I know they're going to.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So, but in that video, he talked a little bit. He said the word short term. Okay, and immediately when he said that, my ears perked up a little bit. So in the course of that video, he let it known that there was an offer on the company for $100 million. Yeah, it was
60% cash, 40% equity. Company.
Yep.
Wow.
And so he was talking about, you know, do we take that short-term gain, but I don't want to give up what this company is and what we've built. Are we compromising on our values as a company? And so last week, you know, we talked about Star Wars Unlimited, and what we talked about a lot of that conversation was thinking about short-term and long-term, trying to make profit in the short term to tide yourselves over as a company while you're focusing your main efforts on this other project that you think is the winning project, but you know is not going to be successful for a few years down the line, and it just needs more R&D, right? So the word I was looking for in there was fiduciary duty and fiduciary responsibility, right? So that is public. You understand the concept, correct, or no?
Honestly, I can barely even pronounce the word.
Fiduciary?
Yeah.
All right. So essentially what it means is like if you're a publicly traded company, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, people will correct me if I am wrong on this, but it is either you have a obligation, and you may have a legal obligation if you're a publicly traded company to make your shareholders profits. So you have to continually provide your shareholders of your company. They need to continually seeing gains, basically profits and increase in profits year over year over year. That's the concept in a nutshell. So fiduciary duty, fiduciary responsibility. So On the one hand, like that's your duty and responsibility as a manager, right? As an executive officer. But on the other hand, I don't know if it's like illegal, like if you have a legal responsibility to that, or if it's just like a moral / ethical responsibility, right?
Right.
So that is basically the entire concept of what we were talking about last week, right? So we apply. Let's apply that concept, right, to a game, right? If you're a company, again, let's talk Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, right?
Yeah.
They are a publicly traded company. Okay?
Yes.
So they have that fiduciary duty to their shareholders, right? And that's why, when they have their shareholder meetings, I mean, there's a lot of news always going out about here's what was discussed in this meeting, and then people, most of the time it's everybody complaining about what's been said, and they're not focusing on X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So that's where when you get into a company that's not publicly traded, then they're completely private. They don't really have that. They don't have that responsibility to anybody.
Right.
It's the owners basically deciding what they're going to do. If they have fans, great, but they don't have a real tangible responsibility to them other than what would be like a moral or ethical responsibility that is perceived essentially from the marketplace.
Okay.
Nothing legal, nothing legally binding, no nothing.
Okay.
Right? It's just, hey, this is our company, we're doing what we think is best, right? So from that standpoint, it makes sense, right? If you are a publicly traded company and hey, we have this really great idea, but it's going to take a lot of R&D. Meaning we're not going to see any profit from this project for at least 5 years. I mean, talking about Star Wars Unlimited and Lorcana, we know how long those games were in. Those games were in the works for years.
Yeah.
Right. And so are they seeing any returns on those? No, they're not. They're not. They're not seeing anything because nobody's buying it. They can't because it's not ready to go. So what do you do if you're a publicly traded company in the meantime? You have to make your shareholders money. What are you going to do? You got to do something. And that's where I think, right, you see a lot of these, hey, we made this overnight. It's a mobile game, and that's where Marvel Snap. I'm sorry, no, it's not. that is not nice.
Immortals making $2 million a day. Just so you know.
Yes, yeah.
I think we're the wrong line of work.
but Marvel Snap, like saying that about Marvel Snap, yes, it was a joke. I love Marvel Snap. It's a fun game. I just streamed that last week. Did you catch that stream at all?
I wasn't able to. No.
You weren't able to? No. I think I streamed for like 3.5 hours. I was just playing all I was doing is playing Marvel Snap. That's it. Just straight Marvel Snap.
3 hours?
For three
Holy
and a half hours. I could not. I think at hour 2, like right around the 2 hour mark, I'm like, all right, last game, guys, I'm done. Yeah, no, that turns out that was a lie.
He went on a lose streak, and he's like, I can't end the night like this.
That's literally how it goes. You all know. That's how it goes, man. Oh,
and then you're just so mad throughout the entire night.
Yep.
You're like, I should have just called it.
Yeah, went on a bender. Yeah. So, anyway, I don't mean that about Marvel Snap, okay? It's fun. And there are people who are like, that is just, I don't know. I really don't know my opinion on, and I know we've talked about it, about the predatory nature of Marvel Snap. I don't know. Is it predatory, or is it just developers and marketers knowing that you dangle something in front of the public and they will just gobble it up and eat it up because they can? Is that predatory? Wait, isn't that the definition of predatory? But what do you think? Like, what do you think?
I think when you compare it to other things in the industry right now, it's like they're not forcing you to, spend a ridiculous amount of money for the entire set on day one. It's time and then money if you want to, go that route.
Right.
To where there's other games. And are there any loot boxes in this game?
Yes. I mean, you mean loot boxes that you can pay for?
Yes.
I don't think so. There probably technically is.
Okay.
There probably technically is, but
all right.
There's nothing that's like, here, give me $20 and I will give you this box. You don't know what's going to be in the box. You have a chance of X, Y, or Z.
My bad. Loot boxes or packs.
Not really. I don't think so. Because the only loot boxes are, at least that I'm aware of, is when you level up your collection through upgrading cards.
Yeah.
Though then you get those collection level boxes.
Okay.
But you're getting that based off of you playing and upgrading your cards.
Right.
Which you could buy boosters if you wanted to upgrade it that way, but I mean, in the traditional sense of loot boxes, no, there are no traditional loot boxes in the game that I'm aware of.
I think them kind of like bringing you back every single day or making you want to play the game to
I think
go
that's
get
smart.
that.
I think that's smart.
I don't see that being
I don't see that being predatory either. No.
And so, I don't really see it being like that. But other games, yeah, definitely.
What are you thinking of? What game are you thinking of?
Man, I already said the name.
So, Diablo Immortal?
Diablo Immortal's so big, man. Oh my
See,
goodness.
I've never played Diablo Immortal. I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but I've never really played it.
I mean, yeah. So when I say big, I mean, aside from it actually being a really big game, the amount of money it takes to max out a character is ridiculous.
Okay.
It's like,
what is that number? Do you know what that number is?
I believe it's 100,000 on average to max out a character.
Is that true?
I believe so.
Hang on. I'm gonna fact check you on this. So it's Diablo
Immortal.
What is it? Average cost.
Average cost to max character out.
Diablo Immortal. How much does it cost to max out? Here we go. Games Radar. Wait a minute. This is from June 20. Wait a minute.
Is it showing you that number?
Minutes. Okay, this is from Game Rant. Okay, it says Diablo Immortal actually requires over $500,000 to max character.
To max character or characters?
To max character. It says singular. And then the subtitle, the subheader says, while many believe that it would take almost 100,000 to max out a Diablo Immortal character, one player reveals it may take much, much more money.
It definitely can, because again, like that's when people were doing a bunch of the averages, it was around 100K.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it can take you more if you're not the average player.
Listen to this. Reddit user Shift Your Carcass created a lengthy post that described how players have been fooled into thinking the already devastating number of 100,000 was necessary to fully max out a character's 6 legendary gems. In reality, Shift Your Carcass believes the true number to be upwards of $540,000, and according to them, that is a fairly lucky number. This is due to the discovery of up to 36 possible 5-star gem slots, screw you ad, that can be unlocked through Awakening, which creates more slots after maxing out 6 5-star gems. Shift Your Carcass actually believed that a person on the unlucky side could easily need $1 million in their quest to fully max out a character.
So Dan,
a number that puts Quinn69's ludicrous Diablo Immortal spending to shame.
So Dan, I'm sorry for lying to you when I said 100K.
My goodness.
I gave you a low number.
I thought you were memeing.
No,
I literally thought you were memeing.
I can't make this up, dude.
Holy cow.
So, yeah, I don't, Marvel Snap has a problem with making you come back every day to play the game.
Wow. Wow. Holy cow. And like if you stay on top of the season passes, I mean, you're spending $10 a month for the cards.
Yeah.
Or for the card. And then you could spend $15 a month. And then you just got to play the game to get more stuff. So
yeah, that's honestly not bad. It's pretty much a subscription fee for WoW.
It's annoying, yes, but man, I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
all I know is if Brendan Patrick was here, he would be like, "You guys are so wrong." Brendan, love you, dude, but I don't know, man.
I don't think the battle passes, especially if there's really not anything else for you to spend like crazy amounts of money on.
Yeah.
Like Diablo Immortal. I really don't see battle passes being a bad thing, especially since they give you stuff and you just play the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Especially now with the addition of the token shop where you can get tokens through the loot boxes, like as you're progressing through your collection.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're a lot better off than they were. That's for sure. Marvel Snap, I mean. But I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, I get the sticker shock when you go into the token shop and you see $99.99 for all these different things. Like, yes, they offer stuff. They offer packages for $100.
Yeah.
Which
nearly every mobile game does.
And you know what? People buy them.
Yeah.
Like people buy, like they're choosing to do it. And so what I'm curious is, do people honestly just want companies to not make those offers available?
Yeah.
Is that what they're looking for? Because if they do, it's because if they're there, they get accused of being predatory.
Question: what's the difference between having $100 pack and the person buying two $50 packs?
Nothing.
Well, actually, the $100 pack you'll get slightly more of whatever the token is, so
right,
it's better for you.
Yes.
That doesn't mean go out and buy it.
No. And yeah, I don't buy those things that say $100.
Yeah,
Like I'm not spending $100.
What's the most you've ever spent on a mobile game? Never mind. I shouldn't ask that question.
At one time or like total? Because I'm not answering either one of those
Arena
questions.
doesn't. I don't think Arena counts.
No, Arena does not count because that would be the one where it's got the most.
Hearthstone doesn't count either.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one.
Understood. That's a good idea. I ain't gonna lie. I'll say my number.
Okay.
It was an idle game called Ooh La La, but it was a team-based one, okay? So it was like you group up with other people and like you do all this stuff in game.
Okay.
Right? But it was also an idle game. So you know, you like go AFK for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I was being competitive with my team. I actually searched for them for 2 weeks. I was looking for a team. And I'm like, oh, hey, this is what I'm looking to do, trying to get rank 1 in the new season, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
The lowest on our team spent $350.
That's the lowest.
That was the lowest.
Okay.
It wasn't me. The other dude spent $5, and I think I put close to $700.
K? Okay.
Not K, dude. Holy cow. The person the most on our team.
700 over the course of how long?
2 weeks.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah. Majority of that was within the first week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I was like, I want to have a good character in this. I want to climb the ladder. I want to be rank 1 in this new season that comes up. And that's what we achieved to do.
Is that game still around?
Yeah. It's been out for a couple of years, actually.
Okay.
They're on like, depending on what server you play on, they're on season like 300. And that one, they release a season every like 4 days.
What was the name of the game again?
Ooh La La.
Ooh La La.
Yeah.
Huh.
And there's a different server where they have a new season every single day. And they're on season like 900. So, yeah, it's been out for a couple of years now.
It was a mobile game?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm looking at it in the App Store right now. If it comes up, oh, my word.
Yeah, there was the one dude on our team, this guy dropped $2,000 over the course of 2 weeks. It was nuts.
Holy cow.
That was crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that one wasn't me.
Wow.
You know what the worst part is? We didn't even get rank 1.
You did. Speaking of fiduciary responsibility, meaning financial responsibility, this was not financially responsible. That Jim, that was not financially responsible.
Thank you.
Oh man.
Question: higher or lower?
In a then which number are you asking me about? Your number?
My number, yeah.
I mean,
the 7 to a grand number. Understood.
I hope my wife isn't watching this. But yeah, no. Again, I plead the fifth.
Understood.
Oh my goodness. All right. What were we even? How did we get to talking about that? I have no idea.
I don't know, but I think I'm gonna start investing into Diablo Immortal.
Diablo Immortal.
It seems like a great game that I can
Make money on.
make money on.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we were talking about short term and long term,
Yeah.
right? But again, going back to Linus, right, and watching that video just really had me thinking about his role within his company, okay, and then what we're building with Hobbies and Happiness and what our goal is trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And it reminded me of our conversation with Stephen Woolley over at Team Covenant, right? And I remember I clipped this
I love
because
talking to that guy.
I remember I clipped it because I asked him like what was one thing that he wanted to what piece of information he wanted to partake on others looking to chart their own path in something similar. But his advice basically was don't settle for the short term, right? Keep your mission, keep your goal, your long-term goal always at the forefront of your mind. Don't compromise your values. Don't compromise who you are for a quick buck, okay? And again, that's not to say people who do make money doing certain things are doing that, right? They're not necessarily compromising who they are. You know, we just talked about, we watched that video from Linus, and it was hilarious, the segues into the sponsor spots, right? But I've heard many people say, oh, I despise sponsor spots. Man, then you just don't understand business, I think. Like that is that's my opinion. I understand I'm watching something and I don't want to be interrupted by an advertisement. I get that. I understand. But at the same time, people who put stuff out need to make a living. And there are people who do that full time. And if you're not giving them money, right? I mean, that's your choice and that's fine. And even if you're not able to, that's fine. But they still have to keep their lights on somehow, right?
If you skip the ads, you're stealing from the creator, right?
True.
Especially when Linus came out with that one video.
Oh yeah, right. Oh my goodness. So watching that was just funny to me, and he leans into it. Like Linus just leaned into it so hard. But there are certain industries where you hear the talk about ads and other creators being like, I'm never going to take on a sponsor because I don't want to be compromised. And you know what? To each his own. To each his own, and that's fine. You do what you are comfortable with, right? That's not throwing shade at people who do or don't do certain things, because by all means, do what you're comfortable with, right? But I just, anytime I hear somebody say, you know, they've lost respect for another creator because, oh, they've taken on a sponsor and every video I see of them, they're sponsored by somebody. They're just a sellout. No, they're not necessarily. Are some people? I mean, they could be, but you know, that you have to determine that on a case-by-case basis, right? But just because somebody is, you know, being paid by somebody to do a video does not mean they're a quote sellout. So, out of curiosity, when you hear the word sellout, like what do you think makes someone a sellout? Because I mean, are they selling out? I mean, kind of, because they're getting paid, right? But what does it mean? What does that mean what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's more of if say like you're starting something and you have these core values, and if money makes it to where you lose that focus,
you compromise on that.
Yeah, and then I think that's where it should be at.
Sure. Yeah. So if
just because a sponsor gives you money, again, if it's something Dan and I use, like, and the company themselves come out to us and be like, "Oh, hey, we'd love to sponsor you guys." It'd be like if Dragon Shield hit us up,
or GameGenic.
Yeah, whoever,
you know, like companies like that. Yes.
Yeah, if Dragon 100%. Shield hit us up. Right, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, we use your products all the time and talk about it, but we're not going to do an ad for you.
Yeah, right. That doesn't make
like,
sense. Which
on.
Dragon Shield, No, kidding.
Hit us up.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. No. But yeah, it would be like if like if you're an advertiser and you know me, my company, and what my values are, and then you were to come to me and say, hey, I want to give you money, but I want you to go against everything that you stand for, but I will give you a really big payday.
Yeah.
Right. If I said yes, that would make me a sellout. Yeah. I would think that would make me a sellout.
If we're like bad mouthing something and they're like, oh, hey, we're going to give you all this money to be like, say it's great. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
I do think it's one thing to be honest and take money, but it's another thing entirely to on one day say all these negative things about it.
Yeah.
And then if that company says, hey, I want to give you money, but I want you to take back everything that you said about us, and I'd be like, okay, yes, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. Yeah. That's not being like, you can take money and be honest about it. Right. I think it's, if you're taking money, you're just being dishonest.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, audiences are smart and they can see through that kind of stuff. Right. So like that is a perfect example of sacrificing your long term for the short term, right? We are sacrificing, again, in our case, right? If we're, again, talking about GameGenic, Dragon Shield, and all these companies, right? We know one of our core values is community, right? And our focus on our local community, right?
Yeah.
If I think a perfect example would be, if we had a choice of hosting an event for our local community and we shut it down because we wanted to do a live stream, or we were offered a bunch of money to do a live stream for people who are literally not here, and we just canceled that event that was on the books.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of
Question,
goes...
how much money would that live stream give us, though?
I don't know.
Because we could reinvest that into the community.
Right. But like that's just an example. Like that's just an example, right?
Open a store next day amount of money? Like, come on. That's an easy choice.
You know what I'm trying to say, Jim. Don't make this harder than it has to be, okay?
Right. Sorry, my bad. Okay, yeah.
But anyway, it's stuff like that where you have to, even when you're thinking about stuff in the short term, you have to think about who you are as an individual, as a company, and what you're trying to accomplish, right? Yeah. Again, I continually am being brought back to that interview with Steven, where he talked about don't sacrifice who you are, don't sacrifice your values, do not sacrifice your integrity for a quick buck, right? Because the moment you do that, it all has just come crashing down, and people can't take you at your word anymore. And then at that point, what are you doing, right? So, thinking about that, right? And then thinking about what we talked about last week, about building a game and trying to grow a company that is making games. And then thinking about, well, you know what? There's a metaphor here, an analogy of a typical card game, right? There's three phases. There's three kind of phases of a card game, right? Of a typical competitive match. You've got your early game, you've got your mid game, and you got your late game.
Yep.
You've got the short term, which is the early game, and then you have the long term, which is the late game. Okay. Now, some decks thrive in the early game. Some decks thrive in the late game. Okay. So what you need to do if you're playing a deck, there's a pretty famous article. For the life of me, I can't remember who wrote it, but the name of the article is "Who's the Beatdown?" Okay. It's determining, are you the beatdown player? Like, should you be playing aggressively or should you be playing defensively? Yep. So even if you're two aggro decks, even in a matchup that's two aggro decks, one of the players is the aggressive one. Yep. Needs to be the aggressive one, and one of them needs to not be the aggressive one. Because even when playing an aggro deck, one of the worst things you can do at times is attack. So you have to figure out, am I that player in this matchup? Am I this player in that matchup? Okay. But where I'm going with this particular analogy is figuring out what deck you're playing. Am I playing an aggro deck? Am I trying to win in the early game? Or am I playing a mid-range deck? Am I playing a control deck where my goal is to win in the late game? It's to get to the late game. Okay. What is that? That's knowing yourself, knowing who you are. Again, as a company, as an individual, we have to know what are we doing here? What is Hobbies and Happiness trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? What kind of deck are we? Are we a control deck? Are we a mid-range deck? Are we an aggressive deck?
Always control.
Yes. especially last Thursday when we were playing which we'll talk about that story a little bit later, which we'll be talking about that pretty soon. It's knowing who you are, knowing what kind of deck you are, and then figuring out, okay, where am I trying to focus? Do I need to focus in the early game, or do I need to focus in the late game? Now, when we're talking business, maybe you are, as a company, you need to be successful right now. Maybe you need to win in the year 1, year 2, and then it's okay, I'm going to tear this all down after year 2 and then move on to something else. I mean, that is not at all out of the realm of possibility. Yeah. There are companies that are like that, right? But there are some companies, and I would say this is the majority of companies, who they're building something and they want to be around for 100 years. They want to be around for a long time. Like, they're a small business and they're building something for one day their kids can take over. So realize who you are and then capitalize on it. Do not sell out. Don't compromise. Don't compromise your values. Do not compromise who you are for anything. So I just thought that was a really neat and interesting analogy, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. So it's funny. It's funny to me and interesting where you hear something one place, you're like, you know what? That kind of applies to a lot of different things, and I just thought this was an interesting topic.
It's funny, at work today, I was talking to the guy who from my work who came to the Magic event.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I don't want to say names.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to him about, has nothing to do with Magic. It was just life stuff, and I even brought up today, I'm like, well, I guess at that point it's, what are you prioritizing, short-term or long-term things in life? And he's like, well, at that point, it was definitely short-term. And I'm like, was it worth it? He's like, at the time. And so I'm like, I tend to go for more long-term things in life. So it was just funny that the exact same thing came up today at work of talking to, even though it has nothing to do with business. It was just other life stuff.
It's interesting though too, because it seems like everything in life can be thought about or in that way, right? Because if you are focusing on the long term, what are you giving up in the short term? Like, what are you missing out on? What are you losing out on in the short time? Yeah. Did I ever tell you, so speaking of sleep, did I ever tell you when I was in college, this was I think it was my last year of college before I graduated of my undergrad. I was working at Meyer. I was working in the electronics department overnights. So this is engineering school. Last year of engineering school, one of the hardest years of schooling, okay? And I only did this on the first semester. This was not second semester. No way would I have been able to do that. It was hard enough on the first semester. He was running on
Red Bull and ramen.
So I was working overnights, okay?
Yeah.
I can't remember how many days a week I was working, but what I remember is Tuesday was my off day. I didn't have class on Tuesday, okay? So you know what I did on Tuesday?
What'd you do?
Slept all day. That was the day. Tuesday was my favorite day.
It's like, don't even talk to me on
Favorite day.
Tuesday.
It's my favorite day because that's all I did was sleep all day. I'd get off from work, I'd go home, and I would sleep the entire day.
Yeah.
It was my favorite day. Okay. So that semester was brutal. So my typical day, okay, I was living at home with my parents. I didn't have a car. Okay. So I rode my bike. Okay. So have you ever been to the Mire in Bolingbrook?
I don't believe so.
All right. So my parents lived about, it was a 10-minute bike ride from my house to the Mire. Okay. So when I would leave for work, I'd take my bike, I would ride to work. Okay. Finish with work, I'd ride back home, get all my stuff for school, ride my bike to the bus stop. Okay. The Pace bus. I would take the bus to the train station. Okay. So left most of the time I brought my bike, if I remember correctly. Sometimes I would leave it. It depended on the day. Okay.
Right.
So I would take the train downtown to Union Station. Then I would walk to school. Okay. So I'd walk to school. Have you ever been to UIC?
Yes.
Okay. So it was I would either walk, or depending on the day, I'd either walk or take the bus. Okay. I'd go to school, and when I go to school, I would go to the library, and then I would take a nap in the library because I was dead tired.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, I would literally have all my bags, just throw them down. I just put my face down and sleep. Right. So I would take a nap in the library. I'd get up. Most of the time I would go to class. And then when I was done with class, I'd go to the gym, work out for the day, play basketball. And then normally I had a late class, so I would go to the gym in between. Okay. Then when I was done, I'd go again to the train station, train to bus home, and then ride bike back home. So there were times where I would ride my bike from the train station home because there was another bus for like an hour. So I'm like, screw it, I'll just ride my bike.
Yeah.
But that was a long bike ride. Okay.
I'm sure.
So once I got home, it was, all right, I either do homework before I go to work, or I would just relax before I went to work. So that was a typical day. And then I would do it all over again. That was a typical day.
6 days a week.
No, 4 days a week.
4 days a week.
4 days a week. Yeah. 4 days a week. Thankfully, it was only 4 days a week because it was 5 days. Dude, oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was a sacrifice of sleep in the short term.
Yeah.
And now you ask me, was that worth it? You're darn right it's freaking worth it. Because look at my job. Look at my job right now. Like my job now, I would not have been able to get if I didn't have my degree.
Yeah.
So yes, that was worth it because I needed that degree to get to where I am right now.
And how old were you when you were doing that?
How old was I? Like 22? Was I 20?
So this is my day when I was 22.
Yeah.
I'd wake up after sleeping for 12 hours, jump on my computer, play games for about 12 hours, knock out, maybe eat.
Yeah.
That's when I was 22.
And so that tells you a little bit about who I am and then who he is.
I was building for the late game, man. I was building for the late game.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have any ramp, okay? It was just a day at a time.
Oh, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, so again, like I said, that tells you a little bit about me, and then it tells you a little bit about Jim.
I got land screwed?
You got land screwed. Oh, goodness.
Hey,
so,
a lot of stuff changed. All right, once I hit 24, that was the year I started to do stuff.
That was the year. That was the year you started to get serious.
Or 23. Stuff? I was 23. Oh, that's right.
When was your accident?
Oh.
How old were you when that happened?
I want to say it was 5 years ago now. So 25.
What?
Yeah, I want to say.
You didn't know me at the time. Did you? I don't think so.
Maybe 4 years then?
We've known each other for a while.
Because I want to say it was 2 years before 2020. Yeah, I want to say it was. Maybe 4 years. Maybe 4 years. Because
Really?
I thought the 2-year mark after, I thought it was around 2020. Maybe 2021. Maybe 21.
Really? Huh.
Or maybe it was
I don't
20. I don't know.
it's
I don't know, dude. I don't remember.
that tells you a little bit else about something about us.
It
We
was
can't remember
19
Jack
or 20.
Diddley.
All right, maybe it was 19 or 20. So
Oh,
3 years
man.
ago, 26, 27.
Oh, it's been a
Something
while.
along those
It's been a while. Holy cow.
know.
Anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where I want to take this conversation was everything in life comes down to short term and long term in one aspect or another. And really what we talked about last week, just really I kind of want to continue it because I think this topic kind of does get lost sometimes when you're talking about games, when you're talking about making a game, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know for me particularly, I've asked plenty of questions a lot about why did this company do this and not this? You know what I mean? And so I never really thought about the fiduciary duty, that aspect of they do have a duty to their shareholders if they're a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
So, which really, I mean, those are really big companies, which you don't see a lot of in the tabletop industry in particular. Again, I think one of the biggest is Hasbro, like Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro now. So that honestly, that has a lot to do with why Wizards of the Coast does certain things and has made certain decisions that they've made.
Yeah.
You like them or you don't like them, regardless. That is a reason that they have made certain decisions.
Yeah.
The whole Magic 30 fiasco, guarantee you that's a big thing of, hey, this is a way we can make our shareholders money, right? So just think about that. Like, you know,
I don't even think those things sold out.
we know they didn't.
I don't even know if they made money on those proxies.
So, they had to have. They had to have.
Maybe.
I think they had to, but to some extent they had to have. So audience, just think about that. Like when we're talking about Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited, I saw a tweet today. Somebody, and again, like now we talk about business licensing. Okay, somebody was talking about. I wonder how much money or how much Disney cares about what Lorcana does or Star Wars Unlimited and of which one they want to support. Like they don't care because they're not in control of anything. It's someone else, a different entity is giving them money to use a property that they own.
Yep.
That is, I mean, do they want them to succeed? Sure. Yeah. Cause you know, they'll continue to make money off of the purchase of the license.
Yep.
Right. And again, if you don't know how licensing works, I have a vague understanding. I have a decent idea of how licensing works, but again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the contracts state, but typically I think licensing, it's basically a contract, but it's kind of like a subscription service type thing. You pay an entity X amount of dollars over X amount of years. You get to do this certain thing with this intellectual property, right? At the end of the licensing term, terms can be renegotiated and then new deals can be made. So it's Disney's not at they're not pulling strings. Like they're not a marionette master of, you know, Star Wars Unlimited over here, Disney Lorcana over here. Those are two different. You have Final Fan. I did it again. Guys, I did it again. Fantasy Flight Games.
Oh my goodness, Dan.
But you know what? I mean, for somebody my age, if you ever see FF, where do you think my mind's going to go?
I instantly either think Final Fantasy or Forfeit.
Yes. Yes.
Because I played
Correct.
so much League, and it's like FF at 20.
Yes.
Because we're bad.
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. So for someone my age, our age, I see FF, it's Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's FFG,
Yeah.
it's still FF, it's Final Fantasy, okay? That's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
It's Fantasy Flight Games, thank you, my word, and Ravensburger.
Just like LFG does not stand for what people think it stands. It stands for looking for group, okay? Stands for looking for group.
Depends on
and
the
always
context.
will.
It depends on the context, though, Jim.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
That's like saying, all right, I guess for FF, it depends on the context. Are you seeing the company Fantasy Flight Games or not, Dan?
All right, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. Understood.
Looking for group.
Looking for group. Looking for group and Final Fantasy, okay?
Yes, Final Fantasy games.
So Disney, like the Walt Disney Company, is not pulling strings. They're not like, all right, we're going to pit these two games against each other, and then whoever comes on top gets our full support. That's literally not how it That's not how it works. That's not what is going on. No. It's not. I mean, does Disney have two dogs in the fight? Kind of, right? Because if one of them fails, then they're just not gonna renegotiate that licensing deal, whatever that licensing deal was, right? So they've already got their. Again, depending on the deal, they've already got their money. They've already got their money because FFG, Ravensburger have already signed those deals and they've already paid Disney for the most part. Again, haven't seen the deal, so don't really know when payment would have been due or whatever.
It could even be X% now, X% when release.
Right. And there could be something, I doubt this is the case, but there could be something baked into the deal. No, there probably is, where Disney gets like X% of profit or revenue. Yeah. You know, there's definitely there's got to be something like that, but it's not like. I mean, yes, Disney wants both of them to do well because it's a property that they own, and so they are reaping the benefits from the licensing. Yeah. So, you know, but again, that's all that these are. It's licensing. It's not Disney is not making these games. Yep. Disney's not. I mean, you remember in the olden days, Disney Interactive, where they had the games that I played the most from my Sega Genesis was The Lion King and Aladdin. Those were my jams.
Yeah, they just got a remake on the Switch recently. Well,
not that long ago. Yeah. Yeah, those ones are. I'm pretty sure they're in my Steam library. When I saw those, I'm like, oh, add, 100%. Those I could never beat Lion King.
Dude, so many people talk about how difficult that game is.
So
and then some people go back and like either they find it still difficult or they're like, all right, this game's not hard.
Yes. That was me. So I did that one and Aladdin too.
But I was never good at those platformer games.
The platformers,
terrible.
They were difficult. So speaking of, last thing before we wrap up here, before we move on to our card of the week. So right now I'm playing God of War Ragnarok on the PS5. Oh my word. Dude, this game is amazing. So have you ever played any of the God of War games?
No.
You are missing out, my friend.
Probably.
You are missing out. So
is it a single player game?
Yes.
I'm not missing out.
Yeah. So you are, because forget the game. Forget the game. Yeah. Where I really wanted to go with this is the story. Okay. What amazes me, is I remember when I used to play games on Sega, all the platformers, Nintendo, the Nintendo era, right? With this even Sega. I only had Sega. I never had a Nintendo or Super Nintendo. All the cool kids had the Super Nintendo. I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
I never had one either.
I was always jealous. I always wanted a Super Nintendo. Yeah. I always wanted that Super Nintendo. So, but again, I remember playing those games and all you were doing is you were playing a game and I was moving this character and hey, I got to beat the boss and it was a sense of accomplishment when you did it. It was fun. Okay. Again, never played Zelda. Okay. Well, Link to the Past, I think was the game. Okay.
Link's Awakening was one.
Yeah. I think it's Link's Awakening. Okay. Because I'm talking about story. Okay. I never played a game when I was younger where I really cared about the story. Okay. Metroid was another one where when you find out that, what's the character's name?
Samus.
Yeah, Samus is a girl, is a female, right? That blew people away. Again, never played it because I didn't have freaking Nintendo. Okay, but that was one, and I heard great things about Link's Awakening. Okay, there were huge moments in those games, like story moments. Okay, but playing games now, like on next gen consoles, again, depending on the game, they focus is so into the story. And right now I am so heavily invested into the story of God of War Ragnarok. I'm like, I just want to get home and play the game because I love the story. I just want to know what's going to happen with Kratos and Atreus. I really, really want to know. And
Is Atreus the little kid?
yeah, Atreus is Kratos' son. Yes. Yes. It's just a masterpiece.
I mean, is that boy?
Yes. Yes, correct. Yes. It just amazes me because again, I'm reminded of playing games on a Sega when I was young. And now I'm playing on a next gen on a PS5. Like how it looks completely different, but it's more than just what I'm looking at too. It's how far we've come from making games and the story and good games now prioritize story. They prioritize telling a good story. And that always has been, should be, a main priority of you want to tell a good story. For the most part, anything entertainment it's storytelling. You want to tell a good story. Making a YouTube video is telling a story. You want to figure out how to tell a story. And that's something that I'm always trying to get better at, right? Because, and it's a mind shift. You really have to focus and think about what you're making from the standpoint of what story am I trying to tell and how can I best get across that story, get across that narrative. So, yeah, it was just, I love the game and I want to know how this game ends. It's so great.
Pretty much the only old school games that even talked about story were just the RPGs.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it.
Yep, correct. Sonic, yeah, Blue Hedgehog and
yeah, run fast.
Yeah, they tried to throw in some story elements to figure out why is Sonic doing this thing.
Yeah.
Why is Dr. Robotnik turning all these animals into robots or whatever? But you never really cared about
Mario's Go Get Peach.
Yes. Your princess is not here. She's in another castle. Yeah.
Mega Man, shoot that robot.
Yeah, Mega Man.
You're the last robot.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew what you were doing with stinking Mega Man.
I guess Castlevania had a story. Go stop Dracula.
Go stop Dracula. Yeah.
And what, like save someone? Maybe.
I do not even know because I
don't know.
Again, I never played it, so whatever.
Final Fantasy games.
Those,
FFG.
Those are the good
Final
ones.
Fantasy
Those were
games.
because that wasn't like FF7. I mean, on PS1.
Yeah.
That was. And the first Final Fantasy game that I played was 8. But then
people love them too.
10. Oh man,
People love 10 as well.
Yeah, 10. Those were so great. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are the RPGs, man. Those they were focused on story from like the get go.
Man, we didn't even get to talk about our two-headed giant games on Thursday.
No, we're gonna talk about it right now.
Oh, all right.
So last thing, and we'll talk about it now before we talk about the card of the week.
Yeah. Good
Because we'll use it as a segue into the card of the week, even though I didn't get to play this card.
Yeah.
In this game. So, one of the things that we're gonna hopefully be doing towards the end of the year, is, Jim, you tell because this is your idea.
Okay.
You were the one who wanted to do this.
Here it is. I was trying to find a way for the Commander players to have the game integrity of a pod, but also give you a bit more competitiveness rather than just a 1v1. So I was thinking about it a bunch, and I came up with the idea of just do two-headed giant Commander games. And so, you have that teamwork aspect, you have that partner you can play with, which happens a lot inside of a Commander game. And then, especially in this, where you can synergize the decks far more than what you'd be doing in a one-man or a four-man free-for-all.
Right.
So, yeah, just threw out the idea a little bit, and wanted to get some people together to play test of like figuring out times, go over like specific rules, because some card will be like, oh, whenever you do this, or whenever a creature you control dies, you get X effect. And it's like, all right, well, how should we handle that in a 2-player game?
Right.
And so, yeah, on Thursday, we got some people together, and we had a good time figuring stuff out.
Yeah, one of the things that the main questions we had was timing of how long we think these rounds should last.
Yeah.
So we got a few games and we got a good idea of how long we think each round should last.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of our people didn't show up. So we're supposed to have 8. We only had 7, which next time what you need to do is before you commit to something, talk to each and every person. At least say, okay, are you good for this date at this time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know who we're talking about. But again, that's also our fault too.
Yeah.
That's our fault too. But anyway. So we had fun with that. So when we first got there, I'm like sitting around and I'm like, dude, I didn't come out here to just sit around. I came here to play Commander and I want to just freaking get going. And then somebody decided, I'm gonna buy a deck. And I'm just gonna sit around and have everybody sleeve it up for me. You son of a...
I'm like, dude, it's your pre-con. Why are you double sleeving this? Oh my God. Whatever.
I show up with all my 5 decks all ready to go. And I'm like, what are we waiting for, guys? Come on. Yeah. So anyway, you guys got going. So did you play a total of 2 games that night?
Yeah, I played both.
Okay. All right. So you guys just had your one. Okay. Yeah. And then we got ours in.
Yes.
Okay. So how did your first game go?
Oh, first game was terrible, dude. Terrible.
Was it?
I got to verse pretty much is it Storm or like Control with the Niv Mizzet package?
that was
which was Noah was playing,
deck,
and then AJ was playing some Orzhov list. I think it was Orzhov. And
who was the commander? You don't even remember.
The God. Ephoros? Is that his name?
Oh, I have it pictured.
Orifice?
No.
I don't know his name.
I know who it is. I just can't. I know who it is.
Archipelagos?
It'll come to me. It'll come to Archipelago or
I don't know.
I know who it is.
But it was like, when something dies, like the person can either pay 3 life
or goes back
into hand. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So that game was rough.
Yeah.
And my team was using a pre-con, which going into it, I'm like, I'm just gonna have some fun and hang out, and see what happens. So
now, while Jim was doing that, okay, I had a great time. Mm-hmm. There were 3 of us remaining, waiting for the 4th, and I played a couple of games with Gargos.
Yeah.
Oh man, and Gargos ate up his opponents. Actually, Gargos just killed it.
Yeah.
There was one interaction. Okay, I had Gargos on board, and then I had the not Magebane armor, but the Commander's Plate.
Oh yeah,
Commander's Plate. Yeah. Commander's Plate in a monocolor deck or a colorless deck,
other than green,
is broken. Yeah. So I had the Commander's Plate on board. Okay. I moved to equip. Okay. Of course, that's when it goes down. Okay. Yep. I had 2 I think I only had 2 cards in hand. Okay. 2 instants that both give protection and hexproof. Okay.
You're not stopping this train.
I'm like, yeah, guys, you're all dead. I'm thinking to myself, you guys are dead. Okay. There's no way. And I had a Hydra on board that I think it's Primordial Hydra that double on attack, double all the +1/+1 counters on every creature you control. Yeah. So it was pretty much over.
You know what the worst part about the Commanders played, now that I'm just thinking about it, right? So you have protection to everything except for green, correct?
Yes.
Now
that's not in your color identity.
Now, what is the thing I hate most about green, Dan?
Big dumb stuff.
There's not a lot of interaction with it. So it's like, how many kill spells are there in green?
There are
to
like
get rid of
none.
this
There's
thing?
like none. But with Gargos, they're all kill spells. It's great.
Right. But that's the point I'm getting to.
Yes.
You have protection against every color except for green, which doesn't have enough kill spells in it.
Yes.
And the way you're going to get around it in green is have a bigger creature, but you're not going to have a bigger creature than this Gargos.
Yes. So I'm just gonna say player 1 and player 2 because I don't know if we've talked about the other person on.
We've talked about Brady.
Okay, all right. So one of the players was Brady, the other was player 2. Okay, so as I moved to equip, okay, I can't remember what Brady was playing. I think he was playing like a humans list, but
Which honestly, the other guy probably doesn't care because he's already live streamed an MTG game before, and he talks about it and posts online.
Okay,
well, you can say his name.
All right. All right. So Brady moves
and Brandon.
to. What was it?
Brady and Brandon were the two players.
Yep. So 2 Bs, right? Yeah. So Brady moves to he cast something. It was the removal with it was the 1 and 2 white. I think it's 1 and 2 white.
Okay.
From Midnight something.
Midnight Hunt.
Yeah, I think it's from Midnight Hunt. It was in standard. It was in standard all over the place. I can't remember the name of the card.
Okay.
But it was basically just destroy target creature. Right. I think it might have been exile. So he goes to.
I know which one you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But he goes to cast it. So targets Gargos. I'm like, okay. So target Gargos. Gargos fight trigger on the stack. Okay. And then I was going to fight his Mother of Runes because you got to.
It's when he's targeted by anything he fights.
Anything.
I thought it was just
any spell.
Stupid.
Any spell.
He's so dumb.
Any spell. Okay.
Okay.
So he casts that fight trigger on the stack. So I'm like, okay. So we've got the fight trigger on the stack.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I respond to that. Okay. By casting another spell that targets Gargos. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it was basically something that gives hex proof and indestructible to Gargos. So I cast that. Okay, so now we have that on the stack. Another fight trigger goes on the stack. In response to that, Brandon casts Hero's Downfall. So I'm like, okay.
Is that for you to sacrifice or is it
no?
kill spell?
It's a kill spell.
Okay.
Black kill spell. So we have a Hero's Downfall on the stack. Another Gargos fight trigger goes on the stack.
He's fighting everything.
Right? And so in response to that, I have another protection spell. Yeah. So I cast that, and then another Gargos fight trigger goes on the stack. So we have 3 fight triggers now on the stack, I think, with all these other things. When all of it resolved, everybody's dead. Gargos is still alive with protect, and now he gets the commander's plate. Yeah. So that's when Brandon scooped. But Brandon loved that interaction. Yeah. He was like, dude, that is awesome. I'm like, you're darn right, that's awesome because Gargos is sick. I love that deck.
Yeah, Gargos is sick, guys.
So what I need to do is I need to go back into the deck. I need to have more cards that just proc Gargos and just give him more protection. Yeah. I need to just remove some more Hydras. I need to take out some other permanents that just they're fun, but it's just
stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. Yeah, stick to the plan. So that deck was just sick.
Awesome.
So we did that. Okay, I had fun with that. And then we ended the night with another 4-player game. Jim and I were on a team.
Yep.
And then we played Brady and then another member of our community who I haven't seen in a long time.
Years,
a long time.
At least 2? Yeah, at least 2.
At least. So somebody
3 years now.
It's been a long time. God. Yeah. Somebody who remember him at Grapple. Remember him from the store.
As soon as I walked into, I saw him. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
I pretty much never forget people, man.
Yeah. So he joined us for the last game. Okay. Yeah. So Jim played you were playing
Talran.
You're playing Talran. So control, and then I played my Muldrotha deck because I really wanted to play that. Okay. Yeah. So that game, it was We were gonna lose pretty
Dude,
quick.
we were getting stomped, man.
Stomped.
I was
Okay.
like, oh my goodness.
So
nothing's happening.
opponents had Grenzo. He was playing Grenzo, right? Was it Grenzo?
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who.
Brady was playing some Naya commander. I don't know who it was.
Rocco. I think it was Rocco, the chef. Interesting deck, interesting list. Okay. So we were getting manhandled. Okay. Jim and I are both playing control decks.
Yeah.
I am playing a permanent based control deck, and Jim's playing your typical standard mono blue control list. Okay. So we're getting manhandled to start. Okay. I was able to resolve a Liliana Death's Majesty.
Yeah.
Okay. I was able to we had a couple turns. Okay, so I was able to uptick Liliana, get a couple zombies as chump blockers, start milling a few cards.
Yeah.
And then there was one turn where we're like, okay, what are we gonna do here? Okay. And then I'm like, wait a second. I am able to ult Liliana next turn.
Yeah.
And so Liliana's ult is destroy, it's -7, destroy all non-zombie creatures. Yeah. So I'm like, we're able to do that.
They were swinging 26 at us. We had 54. And I'm like, I think we eat this.
And we
ate 26.
Yep. And so I'm like, do I chump here or do we just take it? We took it because we're like, I think we'll be able to stabilize. Yeah. And so I think it was that next turn. I think it was the next turn where I ulted Liliana. Yeah. Wipe the board, okay, and then I brought out Muldrotha, and then gave Muldrotha protection. I've got a ton of different ways to give Muldrotha protection in that deck, and then we just manhandled. I started filling up my graveyard a ton, and then
I started getting more hand control as well.
You got a ton of control spells, and then our other individual thought he had me. Then I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, dude.
They were so upset when Brady was like, yeah, do that because I need to get this, and then I force a will this thing with no mana up. He was so mad.
Sorry, Brady.
Got to watch out for those free spells, you know, man.
Yeah. Do you have the counter spell that costs 0 if you control commander? I can't remember what that is.
Fierce something. I don't have it.
Fierce guardianship.
It's in that deck.
Should we open that and you just take it?
Maybe.
You probably should because there's a lot of good cards in that deck.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Why is that even up there?
I don't know.
We're gonna crack that.
We're gonna crack it. I'm trying to see if there's. I should probably crack that one too. I think there's a couple stuff in there that would be nice for some decks. So yeah, that's what. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to do a tournament. So at the end of it's most likely going to be at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. We're trying to figure out if we need to rent a space or if we can partner up with an LGS in the area. Yeah. But we're going to have to see what how many people are going to be interested in something like that. But we really want to put on a tournament like that. And our thought was whoever wins the tournament gets to whatever the prize pool is going to be. We'll get the prize pool, but then also they get to play us as the final match.
And we get second place instantly. So we also get prize pools.
We split the prize pool. Yeah.
Joking. We're joking.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of details that we need to figure out with that, but that was the idea, and I love the idea because again, we want to be doing stuff for our local community, even though we don't have our store, we don't have a store yet. We don't want to hide behind that as a reason to not put on events for our community. So we are going to constantly be looking for ways to engage our local community, get our name out there, and just really engage with our local community, and that's going to be another way that we look to do that. So with that being said, let's move on, Jim. Yay. Let's move on to the card of the week. Yay. So this card is from my Muldrotha deck. This card is, I think, you know what? I actually want to pull up EDH before I say the name of the card. Uh-oh. I want to, how many, is it going to give me a percentage?
How many decks play it?
Yeah, I'm really interested to know. So it is in 54,993 decks. But in order for me to figure out if it's in this certain deck, If I need to pull up Muldrotha,
There's 12,000 Muldrotha decks on
it
here,
is in
so.
52% of Muldrotha decks. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So the card is Kaya's Ghost Form. So Kaya's Ghost Form is a 1 mana enchantment aura, which states enchant creature or planeswalker you control. When enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So it does quite a few things. I mean, this card is basically broken in Muldrotha. I'm just straight up is. Because with it being a permanent, oh, you're in the graveyard? Okay, now I just redo it. And this is part of an infinite combo with Muldrotha. It's Kaya's Ghost Form with Muldrotha plus Lotus Petal.
Okay.
So Lotus Petal is a 0-cost artifact where you sack it, you get 1 mana of any color.
Oh, okay.
So it's so that's part of an infinite combo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you can get infinite. It's literally insane.
I see nothing wrong here.
So one of the things you could pair this up with something like Ravenous Chupacabra. Ravenous Chupacabra 2 and 2 black. I can't remember if it's a 4/4 or what. But we're at Ravenous Chupacabra.
4/3?
It might be something like that.
Yeah.
But Ravenous Chupacabra ETB destroy target creature an opponent controls.
Oh, it's a 2/2.
It's a 2/2. That makes sense.
Yep.
So if you Ravenous Chupacabra, destroy something, you Kaya's Ghost Form the Chupacabra, sack the Chupacabra, get it back, blow something else up. There's there's so many silly things you can do. You know what you could do? One of my favorite things, okay? One of my favorite cards, I love this card, is Agent of Treachery. You know.
Oh, yeah, the one where that's the one where you steal stuff from someone?
Yes.
Okay.
So Agent of Treachery, let me pull it up so I can.
I was gonna say this card right here seems pretty dirty with Muldrotha. Secrets of the Dead. I don't know. Do you play that one?
No, because I have better options.
Oh, better options.
So we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, okay.
But
I have better options.
Well, and I'll show you why. Okay.
Okay.
So Agent of Treachery is 5 and 2 blue, 7 mana for a 2/3. 7 mana for a 2/3. What does it do? It says when Agent of Treachery enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't control, draw 3 cards.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'll
give me
do
the
that.
Agent of Treachery, then you Kaya's Ghost Form the Agent of Treachery, sack it, another ETB, so you steal 2. Oh, it's
Dirty.
dirty, man. It's
Muldrotha, I remember when the card came out, I'm like, this is dumb. Like, everyone just knew that it was going to be a dumb commander.
Oh, Muldrotha.
Like, why is this even a thing? Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Secrets of the Dead real quick. So Secrets of the Dead is it's a 3-mana enchantment, 2 and a blue. It says whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. So there's another card that has a similar effect that I run. Let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. It is River Kelpie. River Kelpie is a 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 3/3 creature beast. Whenever River Kelpie or another permanent enters the battlefield from a graveyard, draw a card. Whenever a player casts a spell from a graveyard, draw a card. Persist. It also has persist.
The persist part is crazy for this thing, man.
Yeah. So I run River Kelpie. I do not run Secrets of the Dead because there's just River Kelpie. There's a lot more stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I'm running this is a control build, so I have it. I'm running a control shell with this.
Right.
Which, speaking of control, in the March of the Machine Aftermath, I think it's Aftermath. No, I don't. I think it's Aftermath. But there's the Praetors. There's the new Shieldred.
Not the flip one.
No,
correct?
the flip one.
Oh, the flip one.
The flip one. Yeah, I picked up a copy of Shieldred. The Shieldred is 3 and 2 black for a 4/5 menace. When Shieldred enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. Then you can pay 5 mana, 4 and a black to flip it. And then it turns into the True Scriptures, which is a saga. If you can, okay. Chapter 1. For each opponent, destroy up to one target creature or planeswalker that player controls. Chapter 2. Each opponent discards 3 cards, then mills 3 cards. Chapter 3. Put all creatures from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Exile the True Scriptures, then return it to the battlefield, flipped as Shieldred.
To ETB.
To
and
ETB.
They have to sack.
So I replaced Rise from the Dark Realms with this card because it does get you that effect.
Wow.
And Rise from the Dark Realms is a sorcery.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is extremely slow, yes, but still it's.
I'm looking at the card right next to it on EDH Rec, Renin Realmbreaker.
Oh yeah, picked that one up.
Yeah, that card's messed up.
Yep, Renin Realmbreaker.
I didn't even look at the other
mana.
abilities. I just looked at the passive, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Akaya's Ghost Form is busted.
Yeah.
Is absolutely
So just to be able to return anything
it's crazy.
when it dies, and then the ghost form goes to the grave.
So
correct?
hang on. Yes. Kaya's Ghost Form does go to the grave.
Except if you have it.
But let's look at Kaya's Ghost Form. It says, when enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Or exile. So if you put this on Shieldred, the Flip Raiders, if you pay that, if you flip it, it returns back to the front side. It should return back to the front side.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why you'd want to do like.
I was like, but what's the point? You want to spend 5 mana to do nothing?
It's not doing nothing. You're getting that front that front ETB again.
Okay.
So if you don't want to wait 3 turns to get that effect again, you could do that. Now again, you don't have to pay the 5 mana. You could sack it or whatever.
True.
There's other ways to do it.
Yeah, sometimes the sacrifice is better because for the other side it says for each opponent destroy up to one target creature or planeswalker they control. So if they have indestructible or hexproof, you can't target it. Yeah. You can't do it with the True Scriptures. So yeah, having that option to just instantly bring her back and then they sack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's just so many ways that Kaya's Ghost Form is just extremely helpful. Now you can only do it to a creature or planeswalker.
Yeah.
So creature or planeswalker control.
Which that's a problem.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking about like enchantments or artifacts if you wanted to do that, but it does have to be a creature or planeswalker. So
makes sense.
But yeah, even planeswalkers too. It's
great card. Even if you do the bare minimum with this card of just being like, I put it on Muldrotha.
Yes. Yeah. Then you're getting those effects again of you can play a so with Muldrotha, it's you can play a permanent of any type from your graveyard once per turn. So you can play one creature, one artifact, one land, et cetera, right? So if you played a creature with Muldrotha, you can't play another creature unless Muldrotha leaves and comes back. That's a new copy, as it were.
It's a new version of
that card. So you get those effects again. Right. So you can play another creature if you wanted to. So, and that's where you get around that limitation with Lotus Petal. So because Lotus Petal, I already did an artifact. Well, no, it's another version of Muldrotha. So you get to do another artifact.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty busted.
Wow.
So
ridiculous.
So basically, one of the combos, it's basically if you have Altar of Dementia, it's Altar of Dementia, Lotus Petal, Kaya's Ghost Form, and Muldrotha. You constantly sacrifice Muldrotha to the Altar of Dementia, fill up your graveyard, and then you have the Kaya's Ghost Form continually go on Muldrotha. But with the Lotus Petal, you're constantly sacking Lotus Petal for the 1 black. That gets you that black mana. So you're filling up your graveyard, and now your graveyard is empty, and then you can there's multiple ways of winning the game with your library empty in this deck.
Right.
So I only have 2, that being Jace and what's the Thassa's Oracle? There we go. That's the other one. So
Lab Man's the other one.
but I don't have Lab Man in this deck. But still, so
Yeah. Well, the other two are better for you anyway. So
yeah. I have one Planeswalker and then one creature. So I don't know if there's other ways to do that. That's not Lab Man. I'll have to look.
Yeah, I think it's only those two.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that is Kaya's Ghost Form. I remember when this card came out, when this card was released in War of the Spark, I'm like, it's a common. It's a 1 mana common, and it's just so, yeah, dude, it's just a common. Wow. It's 68 cents. 68 cents, I think, on according to EDH Rec, it's 68 cents, but I'm pretty sure that
might be MTGO.
It's $1.29 on Card Kingdom. Yeah. I'm not sure what that middle one is. It's a cheap card, okay? That's pretty much what we're trying to get at. So that is this week's card of the week, Kaya's Ghost Form from War of the Spark in Magic the Gathering. So yeah, that's Kaya's Ghost Form. Jim loves this card.
When he first brought it up to me, like, oh, I hate that card. I was thinking a completely different card.
I thought it was something else.
But yeah, this card's sick.
Yeah. So that is this week's card of the week. I think this is card of the week number 51. I think pretty crazy. We've done a lot of those. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad we started doing this though.
Yeah,
I remember when we talked about it and started doing it. I was really glad we started doing that. So so that's all we got for you this week. Before we get out here, Jim, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH. You
guys can find me on Instagram at Daniel.G.Campbell, Twitter _DG Campbell. If you head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com, you can find links to all of our social media accounts there. You can make sure, again, head over to our YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button so you can be notified. Hit that bell so you can be notified whenever we release new content. And this week we finally released that DC deck building game where it was a close one. We're just going to say it was a really close game.
I guess you could say that.
You could almost say you couldn't get any closer.
It honestly wasn't even close to me, for me, you know.
Yeah, so we finally released that one. So go check that out. But yeah, we're actually as soon as we finish this podcast, we're going to be talking about other content that we want to start doing for the channel. And yeah, so again, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com. That gets you to our website. You can find everything there. And yeah, don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening to the podcast, be sure to check out those show notes so you can find all those resources that we have talked about previously. And yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us this week. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. We'll catch you later. See ya.
Take care.
Thank you.